Hello everyone, I want to welcome you back to Garden Fever. I'm Corey Lefevre, your host, coming to you direct from northern Utah in the United States. I want to thank you for being here. And if you're new here, I want to thank you too. Today we're going to go over something just slightly more advanced, a little bit more advanced when it comes to gardening than, let's say, your average YouTube video. Today we're going to talk about microclimates. What are they? How can it affect your garden? Why it's important to know what they are, and more importantly, how you can use that information to help with your garden. So with that, let's just jump right into it, start breaking it down so you can start using this information for your benefit. Applied knowledge is power. And once again, thank you. Let's get right into it. Alright, so what exactly is a microclimate, and why is it so important for gardeners? It refers to the localized climate conditions in a small specific area that can be different from the surrounding area. So for example, here in Utah we may be a zone 6, but there may be parts of your yard or where your house is situated that makes it a zone 5 or colder, or maybe it's more exposed to the sun, so therefore it gets a lot more heat. That's what a microclimate is in short. These variations can be influenced by a lot of natural features, or human-made structures can cause this too. So it's not just nature. You know, if your garden's around a lot of cement or reflective light from windows, and these climates can occur even in small little pockets, even a few meters. So this is why it's so important, because your backyard more than likely has some microclimates that you may not be aware of. Or the key characteristics of microclimates: 1 is localized effects, 2 is variation from regional climates, and short-term and long-term impact. So for example, a microclimate can exist in a backyard, city block, valley, or a forest patch. Conditions like temperature, humidity, and sunlight can differ significantly. So one part of your yard may get more wind, and another part might not get much. So common examples, like just to give you some examples of microclimates: 1 is urban microclimates, and known as an urban heat island. So cities are often warmer than surrounding rural areas. Have you ever noticed that when you are in the city and then you drive outside of city limits and all of a sudden there's a drop in temperature? This is because cities have a lot of concrete, asphalt, building retaining heat. The windows reflect light in various directions, and it kind of traps the air inside of the city limits. There's forest microclimate, which is dense vegetation that traps moisture and reduces sunlight and wind. So let's say it's sunny all day in the forest, and then all this heat gets trapped inside of the foliage, and there's no wind to push it out. It'll sit there and hover and kind of be stagnant inside of the forest. Coastal microclimates, areas near large bodies of water experience milder temperatures. There's valley microclimates. Cold air can settle in valleys at night, leading to temperature inversion. Houses that are built on mountainsides, one side may get a lot of sun throughout the day and the other side might be shaded most of the day. This is a microclimate. And now the one that's most pertaining to my channel is the garden microclimate, where walls, fences, or trees create sheltered areas with different sun, wind, and even rain exposure. If your plant is sheltered from the rain and other plants are more exposed to it, this can affect the plant. So there's different factors that can influence microclimates, such as topography, water bodies, vegetation, things like that, such as hills, valleys. Elevation changes affect airflow, the sunlight, the drainage. These all create microclimates. There's body of waters like lakes, rivers, oceans that moderate temperature, humidity, and rain. Vegetation, trees, plants can provide shade, wind breaks, and retain moisture. What's the importance of microclimates? agriculture, it helps in choosing a sustainable crop and optimizing your yield. Where I think it affects gardening the most is where you place your plant and what you plant where. Understanding your microclimates inside of the space that you're gardening is absolutely crucial in being successful. You may still get yields just willy-nilly throwing them any plants anywhere, but you won't optimize your yields. If you really study the microclimates in your yard and you understand them and understand the cycles, you'll get better crops, better yield. Your plant will be healthier. It won't struggle as hard. It'll thrive rather than just survive. So another example of a microclimate is in the beginning of the summer, the sun is more, if you're in the northern hemisphere, obviously it's reversed in the southern hemisphere. But if you're in the northern hemisphere, the sun starts kind of south and it angles towards your home. So if you're planting on the north side of a fence, on the south side, it's not going to get good sun until it starts to be summer and the sun moves up to more above it, and this can affect it. So if you're growing corn, you're growing tomatoes and things that need a lot of light and a lot of sun and do well in heat, you might not want to do it there. Whereas let's say radishes, lettuces, things like that kind of like the shade, might be a good idea to kind of plant it there because it'll get more shade throughout the summer versus in the middle of the yard, if you will. Understand that cement, metal, your home, the bricks on your homes, they all heat up and retain heat throughout the day. This could radiate heat throughout the night, and your plants may not get the cool off that they need on the day to night cycle. So this is another example of microclimate where your plant may be in a place where it gets the right amount of sun, right amount of drainage and everything, but it's next to your house, and then the bricks radiate heat all night, just sapping the energy and dehydrating the plant all night long, and over time it just can't keep up. Benefits of understanding microclimates. So a moist area, go with like ferns and leafy greens. And if it's a dry patch, do stuff like herbs like rosemary and thyme and lavender and things like that. Another good reason for learning about microclimates is you can extend your growing season this way. So if you plant something against a south-facing wall, if you're in the northern hemisphere once again, and it gets better heat and heat radiating off of it throughout the night, you can extend that plant deeper into the fall and maybe even into the winter before the cold finally catches up to you. And in return, you can get plants earlier in the spring because that part will warm up quicker in the spring than maybe the rest of your yard. You can get better yields and healthier plants. When plants are in their ideal conditions, they are stronger, more productive, less prone to pests and disease. So you can get a better yield if you understand this. And what point of me making this video is and kind of a pro tip for everyone is this is a little bit deeper of a subject than your general gardening video, but really understanding the microclimate of your yard can truly help your garden. Once you understand this concept, it may take a little extra planning. This is a little bit more advanced gardening here that we're talking about. But really watch your yard through a year, from the cycle of spring, summer, into fall. Really observe where the sun is, where the cold pockets are, where the soil dries out quicker. And one of the microclimates that are often overlooked is wind. You may have fences that block the wind, and then maybe in the middle of your yard it gets harder wind. So planting plants accordingly will help you. Some microclimates are just too windy or dry, which can stress the plant out and require barriers or maintenance. For example, you can bury the plant in a hole or a ditch, and that will protect it from the wind, whereas something that has a natural barrier like a fence or tree or a wall or something, you won't need to do that. So how do you identify microclimates in your yard? This might be something that people would want to hear. How do you know? You got to observe your yard. spend a few days, I would recommend a year, but really look at your yard, watching the sun and shade patterns, morning sun, afternoon heat, and keep notes. Check soil moistures, dig a few holes, test for dryness or for dampness. Water your yard and see which parts stay moist till the next morning versus ones that dry out immediately. Feel the wind. Is one corner breezier? And then you can take photos over seasonal change. Take photos just to see where the fence line shade extends out to in the winter and fall and spring versus in the summer. And then you can see how far out that shade extends. So tips, here's some tips to work with microclimate. Group plants strategically. This is a tip. Don't mix sun lovers with shade lovers. Separate them. They'll do better that way. Use heat banks. Walls and stones can store heat and keep nearby plants cozy. Okay, this is for colder areas, or you can use them as a windbreak. And create moist zones with mulch or drip irrigation to support the water-loving plants. So here's my final thoughts. Look at your backyard not as just a space. Look at it as like a mini ecosystem, full of variety of bugs, birds, plants, microorganisms, beneficial fungi, soil, plants, the whole works. And when you understand your microclimates, you're not just gardening, you're engineering a thriving environment. Remember that nature has the information to do it on its own. What your job is to improve on it and make it better. Let it work naturally. Don't fight nature. Make it better. That's the point. So with that, I hope it helps you and hope you better understand microclimates and how to look out for them, and more importantly, how you can apply that to your garden and how it can benefit your plants and your yield. I want to thank you once again for joining me today. Like, share, subscribe, comment, click that like button, and let's make this world a paradise, one yard at a time. I'm Corey Lefevre. Till next time.